Oh ne, halt. Return. Achso, genau. Nur einen Tee später möchte ich nochmal aufnehmen. Ich hoffe, das müsste... Ja doch, es reicht. Aufnahme, Platz, Speicher, technisch. Okay. Das letzte Mal, Event nicht so gut gelaufen für Excelia. Denn es ist so ein bisschen rausgekommen, dass sie Dreck am Stecken hatte und nicht immer die Liebe war. Und jetzt ist sie sad und wir wollten gerade gehen und jetzt sehen wir sie da so. Mal schauen, was wir jetzt machen. Sind wir gemein? Sind wir nett? Man weiß es nicht. She sat on the stairs of Fat Square with her hands wrapped around herself. With her head hanging low, she looked like a child who had just lost her mother. Now that Excelia no longer had her sparkle, the pedestrians strolled by without even noticing her. This must be how I looked when I tried to sell my calligraphies on the street. All this time I had wanted to swap places with Excelia, even if it must come at her expense. Now that she had collapsed face first of her pedestal, why did I find myself frowning? Just as the light turned green, I spun around and returned to Excelia's side. As I took a seat on the stairs beside her, she waved her guards off. "You guys head back to the hotel first." "But Miss Excelia, I said leave." The guards traded uncertain looks before retreating into their limousine as ordered. As the car drove off, I wondered if those guards cared for Excelia or were simply worried about keeping their jobs. "Just one mistake and it's all over," Excelia said. She smiled, but the way her lips quivered told me she was fighting back tears. You saw how I tried to ruin your career, Vinti. Go on, make fun of me." I stayed silent for a while, as if trying to think of a witty insult. After some thoughts, the right words came to me. "Let me shout you to that meal I'd promised," I said. Excelia blinked at me, looking confused, as if we no longer spoke the same language. I got up, patted dirt off my bottom, and offered Excelia a hand. When she gave no response, I pulled her up by force and dragged her into a tram. The carriages looked even more packed than they did this morning. All these people in suits must be on their way home after a long day of work. I tapped on with the Mikey card, and at least Excelia still had enough awareness to do the same. After putting the card back into my wallet, I pulled Excelia deeper into the carriage. Excelia tucked herself into a corner with her shoulders hunched, looking like a puppy strapped onto a roller coaster. For the whole ride, neither of us said a word. I twiddled my thumbs as I questioned if I had been too forceful. Once we crossed the bridge, the time had come for us to alight. This time, Excelia tapped off and allowed me out of the tram on her own. Oh ne, and followed me. Wie so laut. We crossed the road and walked into the restaurant where I had dinner last night. As soon as I entered, the cashier lady grinned like she had reunited with an old friend. "Vinti!" Excelia turned to me with her eyes slightly widened. For once I felt like I was the celebrity instead of her. I had flies rather than sparkles buzzing around me, but oh well. With my head held high, I led Excelia up to a nearby table. The cushion on one of her chairs looked torn, so I took the seat and saved the better one for Excelia, but they were probably all trash in her eyes. Once we both sat, the restaurant lady came over to hand us a menu each. "Hey Vinti, this is a friend of yours?" I nodded. "This is Excelia." The lady put a hand over her lips. "Shit, the famous calligrapher? I've seen her in commercials and stuff. Damn." Excelia lifted her brows, no doubt surprised that a waitress would drop an S-bomb on a customers. Ach so. Jetzt weiß ich, was das heißen soll. S steht für Shit. Also, Excelia hätte nicht gedacht, dass sie Wörter wie shit vor einem Kunden sagen würde. That would never happen in those 5-star restaurants Excelia frequented. Excelia grimaced as she read through the menu. Now she knew how I felt when I was looking at the menu on the plane. She had probably never seen this common folk dish in her life. The beef noodles here is pretty good, I said. I'll go with that then, Excelia said, handing her menu back to the lady. I offered a plate of fried rice before returning my menu as well. Won't be long, Hans, the lady said and jogged back behind her counter. Keeping to her word, she came out and delivered our dishes in under 5 minutes. What a massive bowl, Excelia muttered, staring at the beef noodles on her table. It must be really expensive. $10 if I recall correctly, I said. Excelia guessed. What a bargain! More like those fancy restaurants were rip-offs, I thought, but I kept the opinion to myself. As I ate my fried rice, I stole a few glances at Excelia. I had feared she might hate the lowly dish, but if so, she sure ate it up fast. When Excelia finished, she let out a burp that I never would have associated with a star. For a second she slouched back on her wooden chair, but he straightened again right away with flushed cheeks. Tonight I caught Excelia trying to act like one of us, not the other way around. That made me smile and realize how silly I must have looked when I tried to copy her every move. As I finished my rice, Excelia took out the platinum card. I shook my head and pulled a couple of notes from my wallet. Even if Excelia insisted on paying, this place might not actually have a card reader. I wondered how long it had been since she last paid for anything with cash. Excelia followed me up to the counter where I paid for our meals. As she whispered thank you, I felt like I was the big sister for a change. Yes, I knew Excelia was a head taller, but just playing along. I'm flying home tomorrow morning, I told the lady as I paid her. Hopefully you'll have a chance to visit again. The lady wrapped both of her hands around mine. You're always welcome here. Maybe we can have a cuppa together sometime. I had no idea what a cuppa was, but I still smiled and nodded. Ich denke mal, Cup, Tasse, also so ein Tässchen zusammen trinken. With her hands on top of mine, I noticed this lady had a couple of chipped nails that might have broke during work. Still, I found her more attractive than any of those fashion model wannabes I met on the skydeck. This lady pretty much took her heart out and left it on the table for me to hug. Perhaps she only acted this way in the name of business, but I wanted to believe it was genuine. If I ever visited Melbourne again, I vowed to drop by for another meal. Can I know your name? It's Grace, the lady said, sending us off with a grin. See you around, Winty. And you as well, Excelia. The wind chimes jingled as I pushed the door open and stepped out. Excelia trailed me up the closest tram stop across the road. Leaves rustled in the trees above as she sat onto a set of stairs nearby. Cars drove by and honked in the distance, but no one of them passed the road before us. I rolled a pebble around under my shoe, unsure of what to say. When the honks of an oncoming tram sounded in the distance, I pulled out my Mikey card from my wallet. Too bad I must leave tomorrow, because I had grown quite comfortable with the routine here. Excelia, meanwhile, remained rooted on the flight of stairs. The oncoming tram slowed to a near stop, even though I never gave it any signal. When the driver met my gaze, I shook my head and made a little bow in apology. The driver drove on with a shrug, leaving Excelia and I behind. It's over, Excelia said, squeezing her robe like it was a stress ball. A decade of work erased by just one error. I'm a disgrace to my family. Your family? Are you doing this for them or for yourself? I asked, putting my hand over my hips. Excelia opened her mouth but afforded no response. After huffing out a long breath, I continued. I've seen the way you smile when you work. There is no way you'd make a face like that if you hated calligraphy. Excelia's shoulders convulsed, looking like she wanted to cry. Maybe I had gone too far with my words. It no longer matters whether I like calligraphy or not, Excelia said. After what happened today, I'll be driven out of the industry. I'll bet they are flaming me everywhere as we speak. For a second I wanted to tell her it was karma, but I managed to swallow the words. Even if it hurt like plucking splinters, I wanted to rid my heart of these grudges. I pulled out my phone and hopped onto a daily news site. Also hopped, nicht hoped. As I had expected, the cars today made it onto the front page. Excelia exposed, the headline read. But the article had only 2 likes and over 100 thumbs down. I scrolled down to the comment section and read exactly what I had anticipated. With a smile I flipped the phone around for Excelia to see. Latest comment. Best show ever. I got quite a lot out of it. The calligraphers there were also sweet, really proud to be in this circle. Another clickbait headline, voted down. Good luck to Excelia and everyone else who showed up today. Haters gonna hate. Excelia squeezed her eyes shut as tears rolled down her cheeks. I leaned in to coil my arms around her while she wept. I don't want to quit calligraphy, Excelia managed to speak through her tears. There were in fact plenty of hateful comments on the page, but the majority of us understood. I stroked Excelia's hair while her sobs settled into whimpers. Good thing the streets looked deserted, or this would be all over the news. When Excelia's name came up, people thought of the face that graced banners all over. Men liked to swap her head with those of nude models. I had almost forgotten she was a person above all else. If I could snatch away Excelia's status and claim it for my own, I might sell my soul for the chance. Excelia shared my passion for calligraphy, yet I was willing to rob her right to pursue what she loved. I let go of Excelia as she brushed away the last of her tears. The way her lower lip stuck out told me she must have forced herself to calm down for my sake. I stroked a hand across Excelia's arms in farewell. It's been a fun 2 days, I'm glad I came. With that I turned to check the tram timetable printed on the lamppost, but Excelia grabbed my hand from behind. I'll drive you home. There's no need, my hotel is nearby anyway. I said. Excelia ignored me and still made a phone call. In under 5 minutes her limousine pulled up in front of us. The driver exited his car to open the front passenger door for Excelia. As Excelia climbed in, she lowered her head at the 3 guards sitting inside. That must be her apology for the outburst from earlier. Really, my hotel's closed, I said, waving my hands to decline this offer. Really, just get in. Excelia seized my wrist and pulled me into the car as if she was kidnapping me. After going back into his limousine, the driver glanced over his shoulder and asked if I knew the way. I gave him a nod. Just go straight ahead. The driver did as told and pressed his shoe against the pedal. After our car had passed the first set of lights, I said, and we're here. I guess it really is pretty close, Excelia said, chuckling awkwardly as the limousine parked outside my hotel. Excelia clapped her hands and her driver darted out to open the door for me. I muttered thanks as I climbed out, feeling spoiled like those rich brats I had always envied. The driver pushed the door closed before returning into his seat. I had hoped the hotel staff might peek out and mistake me for a celebrity, but the only thing that greeted me was the evening wind. Excelia lowered her windshield, and her hair flowed under the breeze as she beamed. "I'll always remember what you did for me today." "Sure, that's cool. Way to leave a lasting impression, Vinty." I should have thought of what to say as farewell beforehand. Excelia pulled her windshield up and the tinted glass now blocked out her face. I stood and watched as the limousine performed a U-turn, Kurvendrehung, and drove off toward the city. As I walked back into my hotel, I wondered if this might be my last face-to-face meeting with Excelia. Oh, es kommt nicht mehr viel und wir haben noch 5 Minuten. Wir können auch überziehen und 5 mehr machen. The morning had come for me to say goodbye to Melbourne. I yawned as I squeezed the hotel toothpaste onto my toothbrush for the last time. 20 Minuten werden es eh nicht mehr werden. Los, kommt, lasst durchziehen. Without my phone alarm, the way could I have gotten up at 4 in the morning? It would suck to miss my flight, so I decided to get up nice and early. After brushing my teeth and washing my face, I changed out of my pyjamas. I crammed my clothes into the bag, and with that I was officially done with packing. It might only have been 2 nights, but this hotel still took care of me. I whispered the thank you as if the room had feelings. Unless I received another grant, I might never have another chance to visit this place. To ensure I left without regret, I should at least take a picture. I pulled the glass door open, stepped onto the veranda and took out my phone. After flipping the camera, I pointed the screen at my face to take a selfie with these 3 behind me as the backdrop. Right as I pressed the snap button, a moth with wings as big as my face fluttered into view. I dove back into the room and slid the glass door closed, but the moth had already flown inside. After circling for a while, the moth landed on the wall for a breather. I better get out of here before it decided to fly around again and make my head its new nest. As I slipped on my shoes and trotted out of the room, I mumbled an apology for whoever had to chase that moth out. While riding the elevator, I unlocked my phone to check how that photo came out. The image looked all blurry because I moved, but for a struggling calligrapher it would have to suffice. After returning onto ground floor, I walked up to a mail staff standing behind a lobby counter. As I returned my hotel card to him, he asked if I had enjoyed any of the beverages in the fridge. Yeah, like I would have money for those. No, but thanks for having me. The man smiled. We hope to see you again. With a nod, I walked out of my hotel for the last time. Rather than catching a tram back into the city, I decided to ride a train instead. My last expression before leaving Melbourne, if you would. Hey, not to worry, I checked the map on my phone last night. The walk to Glenferrie station should only be around 10 minutes long. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Alright, troll away. When it came to judging map distances, I still had much to learn. Good thing I came out early, or I might be in danger of missing my flight. Sure was cold in the morning though. I rubbed my arms in an attempt to warm up. As I strode, my shoes crushed some of the leaves that littered the pavement. The crunches sounded extra loud in this empty neighborhood, making me sweat a little. When I walked by one of the houses, a dog barked from behind the fence and made me jump. The dog swiped its paws at the bars, looking like it wanted to leap over. I sped away so fast that I might become eligible for the next Olympics. As the sun rose over the rooftops, the sky faded from black to orange. The sunlight warmed me up as I finally made my way to Glenferrie station. A row of ticket barriers now stood before me. They each came with a scanner that looked similar to the one installed on trams. I pressed my Mikey card over one of these scanners. After a beep, the barriers separated and I managed to step through. I descended a flight of stairs and arrived on the station platform. The people waiting here looked half asleep, either yawning or nodding off on their feet. It was way early in the morning after all. The grinding of train wheels diverted my gaze toward the tracks. From the distance came a train with a flat face painted in yellow and blue. The box-shaped carriages looked rather cute actually. As the train showed to a stop, I snapped a photo to remember this moment. My picture turned out blurry because those calligraphers were still in motion. But I saved... carriages, nicht calligraphers. But I saved the image anyway. As I waited for the train doors to open, the excitement made me smile. To a newbie traveler, even catching the train felt as thrilling as a unicorn ride. The train had been sitting still for a good 10 seconds, yet the doors remained closed. Were these doors in front of me faulty? Unless I found a way in soon, this train might take off and leave me behind. A businessman walked up to a carriage next to mine. He tapped a circular button under the window, and the door slid open for him to enter. Oh, now I understand how this worked. Hey, I had never seen manually operated doors on trains before, so be nice. The doors in front of me also had a glowing button sitting under the window. I gave it a press and the doors opened up. As I boarded the train, I wondered if I should thank the guy next door for giving me a demo. Oh well, too late. The carriage doors closed and my train headed for Hawthorne, the next station on the city line. My carriage had plenty of vacant seats, so I took one by the window to enjoy the view. As the trees and houses blurred past, a wave of sadness washed over me. I had only spent 2 days here in Melbourne, but it still hurt to say goodbye. If I reached Excelia status, I could return here any time I wanted, perhaps on a jet if the mood struck me. Not just Melbourne, but so many other places waiting for me to explore. That should be my goal. 30 minutes later the train arrived at Southern Cross Station, the place where my journey started. I rose my seat as the train slowed to a stop. Once again I needed to press a button in order for the doors to open. After alighting from my train, I left the station platform and made my way up to the ticket barriers. I tapped off using the Mikey card for what could be the last time. As I stepped past the open gates, I put the card back into my wallet with a smile. In memory of my trip, I might keep this card in the wallet forever. I headed down into the dimly lit bus terminal. This time, right after I bought a ticket from the booth, a bus drove into a parking area. At least I had better luck on my trip back. A dozen people with luggages waited in the queue. I took my time walking up to the line, knowing there would be plenty of seats to go around. The bus doors opened and we climbed aboard one by one. Window seat for me as always. Once everyone settled in, the bus steered its way out of the terminal. As we drove along a highway, the yellow and white street light blinked out, taking a well-deserted rest now that the sun was up and about. I took out my phone and snapped some more photos of those yellow taxis that passed by the window. Really wished I could catch a bus back to the city and start this journey over. The bus reached Tullamarine Airport before I could sort out my feelings. Since I only had a backpack on, I could have gotten off right away. But I still waited for everyone else to alight first. With only the driver left on board, I shuffled out of the bus at last. No matter how much I stalled, the time for me to fly home was drawing near. Before me stood a line of taxis waiting to pick up passengers from the airport. For a lot of these people the journey had just begun, and for that I envied them. Once I entered the airport there would be no looking back. I vowed to visit this place next time as an established calligrapher. Thank you for everything, Melbourne, and for now, goodbye. As soon as I reached the airport, a familiar face greeted me. This time around I knew exactly what I wanted to say. I'll catch up to you someday, Excelia, just watch. Excelia smirked as if to say bring it on. We despised each other for our shared calligraphy passion, yet I also admired her for that same reason. "There's one last thing I've forgotten," Excelia said. She took out her phone and beckoned me over. As soon as I walked up to her, she put a hand onto my shoulder and twirled me around. Can I take a photo with you?" Excelia asked. Just 2 days ago I had asked the same question, but her guest rejected my request. This time no one would get in our way. "Sure, I'm down." As Excelia aimed her photo to include us both in the shot, she pressed her shoulder against mine. The warmth of her touch made me smile without having to say cheese. Excelia emailed me the photo just before I boarded my plane, and with that I said goodbye to Melbourne as well as my idol. I glued my eyes to the window during takeoff, but with all kind of thoughts filling my mind, I barely noticed the cityscape passing underneath. Excelia seemed so perfect whenever her face appeared on ads and television, but she turned out to be human after all. For one, I now know about the fang tooth that she always tried to hide. She had also made plenty of mistakes, but they all came from her love for the craft. I no longer felt the need to copy Excelia's every move. Instead, I swore to forge my own path. I had wasted enough time worrying about what others thought. With this afternoon sky as the backdrop, I snapped a selfie to celebrate this morning of enlightenment. Perfect. Now to share this on Twitter so that my followers too might be able to see the light. Kann sie wohl im Internet? Somehow I had become an internet sensation again. Latest comment. Haha, why your eyes be closed? Yo, is that the dubstep remix girl? I think it is, lol. She be like, why you know RT? Haha. Und jetzt wieder 3-shaped cloud in the background. Half-Life 3 confirmed? Nice selfie. Hey guys, please support my Patreon. Thanks. And this would be the last time I ever posted a selfie online. Ich muss sagen, das fasst eigentlich nochmal ganz gut zusammen, was wir in den Kurzvideos gesehen haben. Eigentlich sogar noch viel besser. Thank you for nicht playing, sondern reading. Yay! Danke Leute, dass ihr dabei wart. Ich weiß, das Projekt haben jetzt nicht so viele angeschaut, aber ich muss sagen, ich fand die Story sehr schön. Das ist somit auch der zweite Visual Novel, den ich jemals gelesen habe, weil der erste halt Teil 1 war. Ich habe mir das Spiel halt direkt an dem Tag gekauft, wo es rauskam, deshalb, ja. Mir hat Spaß gemacht. Ich fühle mich jetzt so, als könnte ich besser englische Texte lesen. Ich habe ja gesagt gehabt, dass ich versuche nicht mehr so viele Fehler zu machen wie in Teil 1. Teil 1 war natürlich viel kürzer als das hier. Und ich muss eigentlich aufhören aufzunehmen, weil es schon zu lang ist. Aber okay, gut. Dann danke fürs Zusehen und es hat mir sehr Spaß gemacht, das vorzulesen. Und vielleicht irgendwann mal wieder ein Visual Novel. Vorerst nicht, aber irgendwann. Okay. Ciao.